Hi, May. How are you?
I'm very well, Marcus. Good to see you.
Good, and thank you for joining us. Dr. May Seitanidi from our a reader from our Kent Business School, um, really wanted to explore your research within the school and how you work with organisations at the moment. So, kind of over the next 10 minutes, if that's okay, got a few questions for you just to kind of bring all that to life. I guess my first question is, what's your role within the school and what's your research interest?
Sure. Thank you so much, Marcus, for this opportunity. I'm currently a reader at Kent Business School, where I've been for 7 years approximately. And I'm a reader in strategy, but the focus of my research and teaching is within the area of corporate social responsibility and sustainability.
Hmm.
More specifically, my research is on cross-sectoral collaborations or
Hmm.
cross-sectoral social partnerships. So
Hmm.
this is the cutting-edge form of collaborating across business, non-profit, and public sectors in order to address complex social issues such as poverty alleviation, um, uh, in, environmental degradation, or climate change. It could be also inclusion issues and many, many more. Um, I'm also a visiting professor of CSR in Lewis Business School in Rome um,
Okay.
for a few years now. And I'm on the executive board of EDAMBA, the European Doctoral Programs Association for Management and Business Administration, linking to my role for 3 years as the director of the PhD program at Kent Business School um, until 2018. Um, my strong interest is on the different phases of partnerships, um, from the beginning, from the early stages, actually, before you start forming a contract, an MOU, memorandum of understanding with
Hmm.
your chosen partners. So we call this stage as a formation stage, where you explore different relationships. Um, and although it's most businesses or non-profits might rush into developing a relationship because they want to see the outcome, quite soon. But the problem is that sometimes we see that unless you spend a significant amount of time,
Hmm.
collecting intelligence and
Mm,
assessing the potential of your future partners,
mm,
that could be within the business world, or we call those same sector partnerships, but my
mhm.
focus is cross sector. So the
Okay.
business wanted to develop a relationship with a non-profit organization or with a public sector organization. Nowadays, what we see also are multi-sectoral collaborations,
Mm,
and
mm,
so with all sectors and in multiples. So you
mm,
might have a relationship gradually evolving with two or three non-profits and a public sector organization at the local level,
mm.
focusing on, climate action, for example,
Absolutely.
or on COVID-19.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I've certainly got some questions on that for you.
Yes,
So, I mean, certainly in terms of our business audience here, in terms of your current research, I suppose any kind of hints, tips, any kind of bite-sized advice that you can quickly give us for them?
yes. So I think there are there are many issues to consider. First of all, is what are your current resources? What resources do you have available?
Mhm.
Um, I think businesses, particularly of smaller size, where they might not have a specific department looking into these issues, it would be worthwhile reflecting upon what do I have available, and both tangible and intangible resources, looking into them and thinking who those resources might um, benefit from.
Sure.
So, what complementarities or synergies could be developed with organizations from the community so we multiply those
Mhm.
resources? So, for example, we have a very simple formula in cross sector collaboration with 1 plus 1 does not equal 2, but
Mm,
actually 3, in the sense
mm,
that when you get together with organizations from other sectors that you might have synergies with, you see those initial resources multiplying. And I think reflection of an organization of a business might be really a very useful amount of time to spend, and then scan the environment, the local environment in particular. to identify those right partners, and then spend time within this formation, developing some discussions and familiarity with those organizations, their aims, their objectives, to identify those synergies, particularly with regards to social issues. So which social issue might be a priority for us as a business, and why? How does it link with our fundamental proposition that the business provides it for the community, or nationally or globally? How could we articulate it or co-articulate it with our potential partners? We find that those articulations of the social issue are often very diverse. And the partners realize only after they spend a year developing ideas about the program, where in fact they should have spent more time in this early formation stage, so that there is no wastage of time, so there is more optimization, if you like, of the relationship. And there are some indications with regards to the history of the relations their potential partners might have had with other businesses. So you could have the right questions, which exist in different research papers, and books and so forth, to ask, to avoid wasting resources that are, that are really valuable.
Okay, so we've got to talk about the current economic climate. So in that context, then, what can businesses do to improve their resilience against this current economic climate?
Right. So I think one of the issues that we need to again reflect upon is resilience for whom and for what. So in the 21st century, we don't necessarily have a very clear, well-designed system yet for 7.5 billion people. And that goes from the global level to the national level to the local level, as actually COVID-19 has proven, right? So we don't have co-designed solutions, but this co-element is absolutely necessary. And I think, again, the pandemic proved that to be true. So one of the things I would say is that, sustainability, or excuse me, resilience, business resilience, needs to go hand in hand with sustainability, and that sustainability can no longer be for a business by itself. It needs to be a business within society and within the environment. So understanding the ecosystem within which businesses operate at different scales, local, national, global, or it's quite important, I think. Also, businesses need to kind of join the discussions that are taking place within their employees. So if we look inwards, within the organization, if it's a bit bigger, but also within the community, have they joined those discussions? Are they contributing to those discussions instead of just separating themselves as an element of the system? They need to see themselves as part of the system and connect as often as possible. And I think that this way of thinking about your business would be helpful, not just for you as a business, but also for the community.
Very less about sort of transactions and more about connections and that sense of place and the local and regional and national environment. I mean, in your research, I wanted to kind of just touch on one bit, because you look at business community collaboration. What kind of best practice tips do you have for businesses to implement this kind of partnership?
Yes. So the benefits from developing a partnership are really many and varied. So it could be improving your reputation, improving your legitimacy, being as part of the solution of a social issue, again, locally, nationally, or globally, developing market intelligence, and access to networks. But I would say that the top end of what you can achieve as a benefit by developing those cross-sector collaborations would be innovation and learning. So deep level learning from unexpected sources of innovation, usually non-profit and even communities, because I'd like to make a separation between those formalized non-profit organizations where they have already structures, and it would be absolutely beneficial for businesses to develop such partnerships, but
Mm.
equally, more structured partnerships. These are organizations who know what they have to offer, but
Yes.
and they understand, their assets and so forth, and it will
Yes.
be easier. But equally, I think important is with formations of citizens, and those could be formations of interest as in different areas within,
Mm.
again, the local environment. It could
Mhm.
be, as we've seen those groupings evolving for that urgent, uh, uh, all-encompassing issue that we're dealing still with COVID-19, right?
Mm. Mm.
So I think it's quite important to develop relations both with formalized organizations, but also with a bit more loose citizen groups and
Okay.
communities, because you might get to that innovation that might be crucial for your business, either as ideas or something more specific. So we have a paper um, that looks into citizen buying groups in Italy, and those citizen buying groups inform producers
Mm.
on what they require, and actually also co-fund producer lines, which is
Mhm.
quite rare. And I don't think we've seen that yet here, but Italy has a tradition on that kind of level of community involvement with such
Mm.
groups.
Mm.
Um, so one of the things also I think that the pandemic demonstrated is that we didn't previously appreciate and didn't look into rare risks, yeah, or long-term risks. We kind of put them aside and thought that they're not worth of our time, spending money, investing money or time understanding them better. But nevertheless, we've seen, and I think, the other big issue that is coming, and we will have to address, and we need to apply our learning from the pandemic in social climate change, right?
Mm.
Because it's another opportunity to work together, and we will have to work together to
Mm.
resolve the issues that we will be faced with. Um,
Mm. Mm.
so I think prevention is better, as we know from other issues. So, for example, suicide prevention or any health issue prevention is
Yeah.
much better rather than dealing with a problem once it's blown out. So understanding the broader dynamics of the issue and who could be part of the solution,
Yeah.
designing those groupings might
Yeah.
be really beneficial.
Okay.
Um,
So if I can then, and my final question for you is ultimately then, what kind of advice do you have then for companies who are looking to recover from this current pandemic? Companies are looking to get
mhm,
back into the workplace, maybe adopt some of this remote working that we've seen recently. So I think I wonder whether UK business will be ever the same again. I think it will change in many ways. But looking very short term, taking your research, I suppose, the translational aspect of what you're looking at. What's your advice for companies right now in terms of this current COVID-19 pandemic and how we recover from that?
Thank you for this question. I think it's very important, and nobody can claim that they have the answer, right? But
Mm.
one thing that I have observed by participating in different webinars, this period, in particular the last couple of months, is that first of all, this is a period where we will see new leaders emerging, new business leaders as organizations, right? And we don't know yet the characteristics of those businesses. We will be studying them much later. But
Sure.
this is an opportunity for businesses to stand out. And one of the ways to do that with such a social issue all encompassing and other social issues is to reflect on what is my mission as an organization, as a business, um, and link that to whatever issue they think is important. So we see that mission-led companies, often even of large scale, like multinationals as Unilever, abandon the single profit objective, and they move to become B corporations,
Hmm.
benefit corporations. That's where we see the mission of the business will, I think, become far more important in the future. And,
Mm.
and
Mm.
identifying that and articulating it together with your employees, together with different stakeholders would be, I think, invaluable for the future, because it will help you position the business better within different scales, again, local, national, global, and also allow you to reflect, how do I deliver this business by touching upon my mission? Yeah, this kind of public mission. So elevating the business from meeting only one specific target group and thinking more indirectly between the business and the broader community.
Perfect. Dr. May Seitanidi from the Kent Business School, thank you so much indeed.
Thank you so much as well.